In this lesson, I'm going to talk about a resource group, which are logical container or logical group of resources. Now let me jump to the portal first. And right now you can see that I'm inside the Azure portal, and on the left hand side, if I go to all services here, you can see that we have these different groups here of different services. Now all of these are different resources. For example, SQL database, Cosmos DB, or if I go to the storage, I can create the storage account. I can go to compute, I can create a virtual machine. All these are different resources. So resource is nothing but an instance of any service, right? And if I create any resource, so for example, if I go to database and let me create a SQL database here. Now, if we create any resource, we have to choose a resource group. Now, resource group is nothing but a logical grouping of your resources. And it can be anything. Maybe you want to group all of your application resources into one resource group. Maybe you want to group all of your resources in stage or in dev environment into one resource group. Maybe all the resources of a particular, let's say, business unit, you want to group together into one resource group. So it depends how you want to organize your resources. So for example, in this case, I can create a resource group for all my recording for this course. So right now I'm recording for Azure Fundamental course. So all my resources I can create within this resource group, right? And at the end, I can just delete this resource group and all the resources within this resource group will get deleted, right? Alternatively, I can also create a resource group separately. So if I search for resource group here, you can see we have option for resource group, and you can see all my existing resource group here, right? And you can create a resource group. So I can just say, let's say test, and you can create this resource group in any region. And I just want to make sure that you understand that all the resources we create in this resource group not necessarily have to be in the same region. They can be in the different regions. Why? Because resource group only store metadata. Physically, resources can be into different region. And we'll discuss this again in a few minutes. But right now, let me just create this resource group here. And you can see that we have this test resource group. And within this resource group, I can create resources also. So you can do both ways. You can create resource and assign to any resource group, or you can create a resource group. And within that, you can create more resources. But the idea is same. You can logically group resources. Now, let me go back to my slides here. And before we talk more about resource group, I want to make sure that you understand this hierarchy. In this lesson specifically, we are going to talk about resource group, and later we'll talk about management groups and subscription. But at the very high level, I want to make sure you understand that resources, as we just discussed, any instance of any service is a resource. We group resources into a resource group. So for example, I can have all resources for my app 1 into one resource group, all resources of my app 2 into another resource group, right? Now, higher than resource group, you have a subscription, and subscription is used for billing purpose, right? So you create different subscriptions and you get monthly bill for that subscription. So if you have created, for example, the free subscription account, right? So this is free, so you'll not get any bill, or you'll get the zero bill, right? So maybe you create a subscription, let's say for stage and dev, right? And you can create another subscription, let's say for prod, right? And you can see that how much bill you are getting for the prod and how much bill you are getting for the stage or development. And then you can restrict that. You can restrict that, okay, for development, you want to make sure that your developers are using your resources efficiently while developing your application. So you can restrict that, okay, let's say all my environment dev subscription can have a maximum limit of $10,000, let's say, right? So you can do those kind of restrictions at the subscription level. And at the top, you have management group. Now, management group is another way of creating hierarchy so that you can organize your business, your organization. So maybe you can have different management groups for different client, or maybe for different business unit, right? So you can have, let's say, one business unit, and within that business unit you can have multiple subscriptions. Or maybe you can create a different management groups for different geographical location, right? So it depends on how you want to organize your resources, and we are going to discuss more about this later. But now let's discuss a little bit more about a resource group. So I have created a notes here which you can refer later. So we did already discussed about what are resources, what are resource group. This is a logical container, and then for example you can create a resource group for similar usage, for similar type, for similar location. It depends on how you want to organize your resources. Each resource can exist only in one resource group. So this is important to understand that one resource, if you create, this should be assigned to a resource group. Now this simultaneously cannot be assigned to another resource group, right? You can move resource. If you created a resource in a particular resource group, you can move to another resource group, but one resource group has to be part of only one resource group. Another point is resource groups can't be nested. So if you create a resource group, within resource group you cannot create another resource group. This is not allowed. Within resource group you can only create resources, right? And then resources in a resource group can be located in different regions. Now this is also very important. For example, the resource group you created, let's say East US, and resources you may be created in India. One resource you may be created in Australia. So this is allowed. Why this is allowed and how this is allowed? Because resource group only store metadata, right? Physically it does not store resources. Resources can be part at the different regions, different geographical location, but it can be assigned to resource group because resource group only store metadata here. Now resource group can be used to scope, access control, administrative actions. So you can have different policies assigned here, different kind of restrictions here. You can assign the access policies here, and whatever you assign at the resource group level, that will be applied to all the resources within the resource group. And then you can also use a resource group for access control, right? You can lock your resources. So within that particular resource group, you can put a lock and no one will be able to delete or change resources within that particular resource group. Similarly, you can assign a roles, you can assign a policies, and all the resources within that resource group will inherit all these restrictions which you apply here. Right? You can apply a tag to a resource group, but make sure that you understand that these tags are not inherited by the resources within this resource group, right? Tag we will discuss later, but tag basically are name value pairs which are also used to organize resources within the Azure. So for example, we can have a tag for a particular application, let's say, and later you can search all the resources which have a tag for that particular application, and we'll discuss this about more later. Now all the resources within the resource group also follow the life cycle, right? If you delete a resource group, all the resources within that resource group will also be deleted, right? So you have to be very careful while deleting the resource group. And to create resource group, you can use Portal, you can use PowerShell or Azure CLI, right? Or you can also use the ARM template, and we are going to discuss ARM template in next couple of lessons. But this is a JSON code basically which you can use to create or to deploy different resources, including resource group, into different environment. All right, so this is all about resource group. If you're a little confused, I will suggest you to go through this slide one more time, go through each point, and if required, you can listen this lesson one more time. But I think I've covered more than you need to know for this particular exam. I hope you find it helpful, and let's see you in the next lesson. Thank you.